Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. For anyone that's new here, my name's OwenAlec, and on this channel I do everything drum related. That includes drum covers, tutorials, gear reviews, tips and advice, just like this one. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then please do consider subscribing, hit the like button, all that good stuff, because it really helps the channel. Thank you very much. So in this video today, I want to talk to you guys about 5 things to expect when becoming a drummer. Now it seems pretty obvious that when you become a drummer and you want to play gigs and things like that, you're just going to be going out there and playing your set and hitting the drums. It doesn't quite necessarily work out like that. And over the years, I've had some really good and also some really bad experiences. And I want to share some of those with you today and give you some tips as to what to expect really, so that you're not kind of going in blind. The first one may seem like an obvious one, it's practicing. Now, I have seen a lot of drummers over the years where and I'm guilty of this slightly myself, where they practice and then they get to a point and they kind of stall, they plateau a little bit, and they feel like they're good enough for playing what they normally play, but they're not really stretching themselves. They don't endeavour to become much better. And you see that that's the big thing with drummers out there at the moment, the famous ones, is that they don't just stick to what they know. They're constantly pushing themselves and really trying to stretch their knowledge and progress themselves as a musician. That being said, it's super important that you don't run before you can walk. And what I mean by that is that there's a trend on TikTok at the moment where drummers are showing off something that sounds hard but is incredibly simple to play. And usually it's like the typical Portnoy 6 pattern where it's 4 on top and 2 in the bottom. It sounds incredibly difficult and fast and cool, but it's actually really simple to play. What's incredibly difficult is playing a straight 4/4 beat whilst not flamming anything and making sure everything lines up absolutely perfect. It is super difficult, and even I struggle with it to this day, and I'm constantly practicing it and making sure that everything lines up exactly where it's supposed to do. Having that extra control when you're playing is so important when playing music. In fact, one of my drum heroes, Gavin Harrison, was on Drumeo not so long ago, and he talks about this very subject on there. So I highly recommend going watching that video. So number 2 is the knowledge and accepting that you are going to make mistakes. And this doesn't happen just in the studio when you're rehearsing with your band or on your own, but this is going to happen when you're at gigs. It's inevitable. You're a human, you are going to make mistakes. You can obviously reduce the likelihood of making mistakes by practicing more and trying to emulate a live situation in the rehearsal room or the studio. But like I say, you are human and you're going to make mistakes. Now, this isn't the end of the world. What's super important here is that you recognize that you've made a mistake, but then try to come back in. Don't just stop. I've seen this before, certainly in my earlier days, where there was a lot of inexperienced drummers and they would just stop in the middle of a song. They've made a mistake and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to come back in to the song. So they just stop, and then the rest of the musicians have to stop as well, and it looks super unprofessional. If you make a mistake, but pick up from where you left off, or you kind of wait a couple of bars just to try and remember where everyone is, and then you come back in, that's fine. People will know that you've made a mistake, and that's one thing. But the fact that you were able to pick it back up again and carry on means so much to a crowd. And also your bandmates will really appreciate that too. So number 3 is investing in yourself. Now this doesn't necessarily mean about money and buying the best gear and things like that. That is one thing, is buying decent enough gear eventually when you get to that point. But I'm talking more about your health. You would be incredibly surprised about how having a really good diet and plenty of light but frequent exercise will help you with your drumming. At the end of the day, drumming is an incredibly active activity. So it makes sense that if you're looking after yourself and you're getting your stamina up, that you'll perform better on stage. I've certainly noticed a massive improvement in my health. For anyone that doesn't know, this time last year, I was just starting the keto diet, and I was getting up towards 17 stone. And throughout this past year, I've really been trying to stick to the keto diet. I had a few, lapses here and there where I kind of fell off the bandwagon and ended up eating quite a few Krispy Kreme donuts. But I managed to get back onto the bandwagon, and I've now got down to about 14 stone. I noticed a massive improvement not only in my own health, but then my playing as well. I find things easier to do now. I can play a little faster, a little bit more accurately. It's not like it's a super duper cure. I'm now one of the best drummers in the world. It's not like that at all. But everything that I was able to do before is now easier to do. So then I can feel like I can push myself a bit more. Tip number 4 is that live gigs are incredibly hard work. If you've ever been a crowd member and you're watching the gig, you see the half hour, 45 minute, whatever set that the band do, and it looks amazing, and you're thinking, that's what I want to do. I want to be up on stage, I want to play and perform in front of people, and that's great. Absolutely do it. It is an amazing feeling playing in front of, you know, even if it's just playing in front of 5 people or playing in front of a couple of hundred or even thousands if you can get to that point. It's a great feeling, and I highly recommend doing it. But don't be under any illusions that there are things before and after that are incredibly hard work, and mostly that is down to carrying your gear about. There's other things that you're going to have to deal with, either it be crappy promoters that we've had to deal with before, or really awkward venues where you've got to go down like 2 sets of stairs, or you've got to go up several sets of stairs, and it's a pain in the ass trying to navigate these things. Some venues aren't even on like Google Maps, so you spend half an hour just trying to find the damn thing. And then, as every musician knows, there's about a 10 to 15 minute gap between the last band and your band. And you've got to get all their gear off and all your gear on. And it's incredibly stressful, and there's a lot of pressure to get to those times, because if you start your set late, then more often than not, your set is going to get cut short. And you don't want that, because then you're not going to be able to show the crowd what you guys can do. And it might be that your last song, which is typically going to be your best song, gets cut. It's always a good idea to have your gear set up at the side of the stage, ready to go, so that you can do the quickest changeover that you possibly can. I have done a few gigs here and there where we've either been first on so you can get your stuff on and leave it up for your sound check, or we've done some gigs where we've been the headline act and we've specifically allowed about half an hour before or something like that, so that we've got all that extra time to get the stuff on, and we're not having to rush, and you know, you can actually get your stuff up on stage and then leave the stage for 5 minutes so that you can actually make an entrance. The amount of gigs that I've done before where the second I've got everything ready and you know, my snare's there, and I'm just about finishing off my cymbals or something like that, and they've already struck up, like the guitarist has already started the first song, and I'm like, hang on a minute guys, come on. So yeah, as fun as live gigs are, they are incredibly hard work, but they are worth it. And then lastly, which to be honest I feel is one that I'm suffering with a little bit at the moment, but also I know a lot of other drummers that do the same. You've got to remember, never feel discouraged. You might be looking at some of these drummers, either some of your local drummers, or you're looking at some of the really famous drummers that are out there, and they're incredible players. And you might be thinking to yourself, wow, I'm never going to get to that point. And it puts you off a little bit. It might inspire you at first, and then you're kind of looking at it going, wow, actually that's a lot of hard work to get to that point. And it is going to be a lot of hard work to get to that point. It's a lot of practice. But the fact is, you can do it. If you put the work in and you want to strive for that, you can do it. For some people, it's easier than others. There's some people that have a bit of a natural flair for it, so they can kind of jump a few stages, but they still have to put in a lot of work to get even further. So more often than not, when you see a drummer that's kind of been touring the world and they're phenomenal players, very well respected, more often than not, they've done their time. They've put in the practice, they've put in the hours, and they're now reaping what they've sown. But the reason why I say don't feel discouraged is because at the end of the day, stay in your own lane. You'll look at what other people are doing and try and take a little bit from what they're doing and feel inspired, but don't feel discouraged, because you're doing your own thing. If you're in a band just because it's a little bit of fun, great. If you're looking to become a session drummer and just do local stuff and just earn a little bit of extra on the side, great. If you're looking to become a fully professional session player, you're looking to, you know, travel the world in different bands and play for different artists and really get to the top level, again, you're gonna have to put the effort in and the time, but you can do it. If you stay in your lane and you just focus on you, you can get there. But the biggest overall thing is to always have fun. There's going to be times when it's not fun, you're going to get frustrated, but remember, this is an incredibly fun instrument to play, and you can have an incredibly fun career doing this. So never lose sight of that. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you guys have got something out of it. If you did, let me know in the comment sections below. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.